This video was made possible with support from viewers like you. If you find this video useful, consider becoming a patron for as little as $1 a month at patreon.com/FastGadgets. Alright, welcome back, Gadgeteers. So what we're going to do today is set up a Samba share. So what we want to do, we have a virtual machine here that's running Windows, and we want to be able to get access to the home directory of the host system, which in this case, of course, is Linux. Now, I am doing a pretty major copy right now, so things might be a little bit slow. It is between two NTFS drives, so hopefully that won't slow down our video too much. We'll see how it goes. But basically what we're going to do, first of all, is find out what's installed, and the easiest way to do that is do DNF list Samba, and I'm going to put an asterisk on the end so that it lists any Samba program or installable module that has the word, starts with the word Samba. So we've got two different groups here. Our first group is installed packages, and we have the Samba client, common, and common installed, but we have many available packages, and the one that we are looking for that's important is the Samba server. So that's this one right here. So what I'm going to do is cruise down to the end here, and I'll do a clear so you can see the screen, and we'll do DNF-Y install Samba. And just in case there's something missing, although the client, technically you don't need to be a server, so the important one is this one right here. And I'll press enter. So it said that client was already installed. It went ahead and installed the Samba package. So now we're ready to become a server, but it's going to take a wee bit of work. So the directory that we're actually going to share out is my home mark directory. So this particular user's directory we are going to share. Okay, so after we've installed Samba, the next thing we're going to want to do, and this you only do if you do want the Samba server to launch every time you reboot your system. In this case, I do. So I'm going to do systemctl enable SMB and NMB. Alright, so the symlinks are created, so now they become a target service that is going to launch every single time we reboot the system. The next thing we're going to do is open the Samba port on the firewall. And we're going to make it a permanent addition. Now, one thing I do want to point out with what we just did, now if you're on a public network, of course this isn't something you're going to want to do. You're going to want to be very restrictive to who can access your Samba shares on a public network. It's very important that you don't allow anybody to access that open port. I'm behind a NATed router, and because of that, nobody will be able to see the Samba share because they can't penetrate through the router to actually see it. And the second thing I'm going to do is go ahead and reload the firewall settings. Now we have a service that's called SELinux, Security Enhanced Linux, and when that service is running, and we can find out by typing in get enforce, and I have left it as enforcing. It is not wise to disable SELinux altogether. Now you can do it with the set enforce command, but again, I do not recommend it. Instead, what you want to do is only disable the specific functions of SELinux that you need. So in this case, we're going to run a command here, set SELinux boolean, so set se bool dash p samba underscore enable underscore home underscore directories, and we're going to turn it on. So now we've enabled home directory access. In order for a user to be able to access your share, you have to have a user on your system. Now you can see right now that I'm logged in as Mark, so absolutely I do have a user called Mark, so I don't need to do a creation of the user Mark. The next thing we need to do is use PDB edit to add that user to the allowed users in Samba. So we're going to type in PDB edit -a, and the user of course is Mark, and we have to type in a password. Oh boy, I'm getting my PC up to date. Ugh. Let's see if we can kill that service while we're here. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is restart SMB and NMB. So I'm going to use the systemctl command and issue a restart of SMB and NMB. The other thing that I think I want to do is change the name of this computer. Now by default when you install any version of Linux it just calls it localhost, but we're going to change the name of this system to something more logical. So we're going to use two commands. The first is hostname, and if I just type in hostname, it'll actually show me the name that the system has. So I'm going to go ahead and change that to Fedora. Just simply Fedora. Now the thing is, I'm going to want to make it permanent so that every time I start up, the change will take effect. So we're going to permanently change the hostname using the set hostname function, and we'll just call it Fedora. So we're using the command hostnamectl with the set hostname function, and we're permanently changing this system to simply Fedora. Alright, let's see if we got success. Sometimes we have to make a change, and we're going to find out. The first thing is sometimes Windows 10 isn't so great at seeing the name, which is understandable. We can look on the network, and right now we're seeing itself and the VirtualBox server, and of course again this is itself. So far it's not seeing it, but let's see if we can see it. So we'll do / and we'll put in Fedora. We're going to find out if that name has propagated over to this system. It doesn't look like it. So whenever that happens, what I usually do is an ifconfig, and we've got a couple of IPs. We've got its actual IP on my physical network, and what I suspect is the IP address that's coming from VirtualBox. So this is the VirtualBox server. So what we could try to do is do a / and type in 192.168.122.1 and / and see if we get anything. Okay, we did. So we're going to put in our username and our password, and we're going to ask it to remember these credentials, and then OK. So now we have access. There's a shared printer that's available, and of course the Mark folder. So let's click it, see if we get in. All right, so we successfully got in. I think the ultimate test would be to run something. So let's find something simple here. Maybe we'll go into documents and let's see if we can open up this Word document. Okay, so there is that document that I created in the past. We'll make this a little bit bigger now. And it successfully was able to open up the document. Now, really the other big test is, let's make a quick change, and we'll call this testing saving on our Linux Samba server. Oops, my spelling is terrible. And I'm going to click save. And I'm going to leave it in the format it's in and click yes. And we successfully went ahead and saved on our share here. All right, but what if we wanted to bring up an additional share? So the thing is, I've got a system here on my Fedora. I have access to, let me go back to my favorites and go to File Manager. What I've got is, and I can see all this stuff is being added. Wow. Let's see if we can find it right here, my 4 terabyte drive. So on here I have some backups that I do. I've got access to FastGadget videos and information. I have many ISOs. I need to collapse these two together. I've got some movies on here, and I've got quite a bit of music. So what I want to do is make this 4 terabyte drive readable, and I don't need to write to it necessarily because these virtual machines don't really need to do that. The first thing that I want to do, I want to find out where the 4 terabyte drive really lives as far as the actual directories. So I'm going to go into Control and do Configure Dolphin, and I like to make it an editable location bar and show the full path inside the location bar. And I'll click OK, and now I can see that when mounted, it's in Run Media Mark 4 TB_drive. So I can actually grab that and copy it, because the next step is for us to create a share that we can access. So let's go ahead and we will edit Etsy Samba SMB.conf. I think before I even do that, I'm going to do a CP of Etsy Samba SMB.conf to smb.conf.mrk. So now I've created a backup file just in case I do something I truly regret, which does happen every once in a while. So we're going to cruise in here. Now we've already got that default homes there, and I left the setting so that valid users only can access that share. It's fairly important to me because I don't want somebody else to be able to access it. In other words, even if you can get to the IP address here and look at the share information, you're going to need to have the password to get into Mark's stuff. Okay, so let's go down to the bottom here, and we will create a new section. So this is going to be a new share, and I think what I'll do is call it the 4 TB_drive. And the cool thing about this drive is it's actually an NTFS partition, so you can access it from not only my Linux system here, but also when I dual boot, I can boot into Windows if I want. So not only can my VMs access this drive when we set this up, but I have a dual boot scenario, so I can access it from anywhere. So I'm going to create this 4 terabyte drive, and what I'll do is put in a comment here. I think I'll use tab. Let's see what happens if I use tab. Yeah, that's fine. Comment equals 4 TB NTFS drive on Fedora. I'll just put Fedora server. Next. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to add a space there. Okay, then a tab, path, equal. And I'm going to do shift insert, because remember I went ahead and copied that particular URL down here from my GUI. And yeah, I think I'll leave it exactly as it is. We'll see if it works. We may have to do some tweaks. Read only equals yes. We're just going to make the share read only right from the gate. And guest only equals no. And guest okay equals, I'm going to say yes. Share modes equals yes. And we may remove this one, honestly. I'm not even 100% sure what it's for. We're going to leave that in. We're going to press enter again. And I am going to escape out of insert mode. I got an extra line there I can get rid of, and one more extra line. Now you may wonder, how did I get rid of those extra lines? I'm in the VI editor, and in order to get rid of it, I press DD, which deletes the line that you're on. You just have to be very, very careful when you do that. Then I'll do shift : WQ, which is write and quit. Now I'm thinking I'm going to have to restart. We'll do systemctl just in case, even if we don't have to do it. Restart SMB NMB. Okay, so let's go back here to our system. Now we can see the 4 terabyte drive, but that doesn't mean we get access to it. We may have a little bit more work to do here. So we'll double click it, and no, we can't access it right now. And why is that? If you do a little experimenting with SELinux, one thing you can do is set the enforcement to permissive, and what that does is it lets all access go through, but it reports to you when SELinux detects a problem. So when I clicked this access, I did, with permissive settings, get access to my 4 terabyte drive. So I got this notification and I clicked details, and when I read the details here, it lets me know if I really do want to get access on this particular file, then I need to change the label. So their recommendation is actually this right here: SE manage, F context, and the label, and then do a restore con. I'm going to give this one a try here before I do anything else. So let's go ahead and do this. It says this drive is in the process of a massive copy, and I don't really want to disrupt it down here. So I'm going to do shift insert, and I'm going to run that command. Then for our proper test, we'll go back to the virtual machine. We'll go back out. I'm going to go back over here, and I'm going to set enforce. I always forget what the name is. I'm going to do set enforce enforcing. Okay, so if I do get enforce, I now see that I'm in enforcing mode. Let's see if we can get access to this 4 terabyte drive. Okay, yes, we can. So the bottom line, though, is that all read-only shares are going to be accessible. That more granular command, if I can find that again, right here, these are more granular, meaning that they specifically would only allow you access to that particular read-only share if we had done this. By doing this, I'm allowing all Samba shares to be, the read-only shares to be accessible on this particular system. So that is the caveat, but that in essence is how you do the very basic security enhanced Linux troubleshooting. You change it to permissive. You go and access what you need to access. You'll receive this error. You click details, and we clicked details. The troubleshoot window came up, and it gives you fairly specific instructions on how to change the label and set up the appropriate access. We don't want to just disable SELinux. And I chose to allow all shares because, quite frankly, in the future I'm probably going to allow many more. Then we go back here and we re-enable set enforcing. We check and make sure that it was actually now enforcing with get enforce, and it is. And then we just go back and try to access the share. So basically now, if I try to, let's see if we can create a, oh, it doesn't really matter, I suppose. We'll try to create a folder. No, I don't have permission to do that because I don't have write access. So now I've got read access to this particular folder and all the stuff that I normally would access in it. And I have my Samba Linux set up to automatically run. So I'll be able to, every time I boot up, have access inside my virtual machines. Now, if you watched my previous video where I was playing around with Ubuntu Linux, you know that I was trying to use shared folders, and it's just, unfortunately, touch and go. It doesn't seem to work all that well, so I decided to do away with that and just use Samba because it's much more reliable. Now, the one thing we could do and should do, let's do a speed test. We'll go back into Mark. We're going to go into videos, and let's grab a reasonably sized video. Not too big, but not too small. So we'll grab this 130 megabyte video, and we're going to drag it onto the desktop. I'm going to say OK. And I really want to get an idea of how, well, I guess I just found out how fast it goes. Pretty fast. Well, let's delete this. And I'm going to go back. We'll get a larger one because apparently we need a little more time. We'll do this one. It is a gigabyte, but and the downside to that, you know, is it expands your virtual machine's virtual drive. But we really want to see, I think I'll grab this one. All right, we'll plop this one in here, and we'll say OK to that, and more details. So the speed is reasonable. You know, I suspect it would be faster with this particular shared folders concept, but this really works for me. If I do a clear here and do another ifconfig, I could have used the real IP of my Fedora system. Why didn't I use that one? Because if I do, then what happens is all the network activity when we send this file has to go across my physical router, which slows everything down. By using this IP, it's actually all internal to just this system sitting here. So all that traffic doesn't fly through my whole network. It's actually using the virtual network interface card that is on my host system, on the Linux system. So that's quite clever. So all in all, I got everything I wanted. I have access to Mark's share with a password, and I have access to that large 4 terabyte drive, which has some media and other things on it. It's got ISO images if I need them. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do decide to use Samba, it's a very nice tool, so I do hope that you try it. And the cool thing is I can actually get access from my TVs to this Samba share. So all those movies and music that are on there, I can use pretty much any Android device, but my Sony Bravia 49-inch TV automatically sees network shares. It monitors for them, and then I can go in and drill down by the folder or by title or anything I want for movies or music and access them that way. So I think that's really cool. So I've accomplished quite a lot today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. If you really enjoyed it, consider sharing it or dropping me a buck on patreon.com/FastGadgets. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time.